And we are back. Well, that was just in case that little session that I had there. That was basically just in case you want to know how I really feel. You can look it up on UStream. Just save the video. It should be up soon. That's how I really felt about some of the offseason moves in baseball. But anyway, moving on. Going in season now to talk about the NFL. Now, the New York Giants last week, it was a controversy at the end of the football game with the Washington Redskins. There's plenty of controversy in the NFL last week. I'll get into Mike Tomlin in a second. Well deserved fine, by the way, but I'll get into that soon. The New York Giants and Washington Redskins. First off, when I first turned the game on, Washington was up 14-0 just like that. Like that. RG3 was looking better than he had all year. And of course, when as a Giants fan, I say, of course he does this against my Giants. But Robert Griffin III, he was running really well and everything. He did not play terrible. He really did not play bad. The Giants kind of figured it out a little bit more in the second half, how to do it, how to do better. And as soon as the Giants got 14-7, it was all Giants from them. They won the game 24-17. But the controversy was on the Redskins' final drive when they were driving to try and tie the game. Was that the Redskins came close to a first down, and I thought they actually got the first down. And at the end of the game, Mike Shanahan, not at the end of the game, at the end of the play on the third down, Mike Shanahan was furious because at first the officials ruled that it was a first down, and the chains actually moved up to set up for a first down, but there was some kind of confusion, and then all of a sudden the refs, since they screwed it up, said, okay, never mind. It was actually third down. Now it's fourth down. And then the Redskins didn't convert. The Giants intercepted the pass. Pierre Garcon dropped. But the controversy here was Mike Shanahan was furious, and this is coming from a New York Giants fan. He had absolutely every single right to be furious. Whether or not the Redskins actually did get the first down, look, Shanahan should have asked for a measurement. He absolutely should have. He screwed up there. But if the refs had already ruled a first down, if they had absolutely already ruled the first down, he doesn't have to ask for a measurement. But then once they said, okay, never mind, it was third down, he should have asked for a measurement. I don't know whether or not after the play was over they said, okay, that was actually third down. Because if that was what happened, Shanahan can't ask for a measurement then. But with that, Shanahan was furious, and I absolutely agree with him. He should be fuming on that. If you had ruled it was a first down, you stop the play, stop the clock, let the chain and crew get set up, let the officials get set up, They ran two plays, the Redskins. I thought that you run when you're trying to get a first down, when you're trying to get the ball down, not trying to convert a third and fourth down. And then they eventually had to do it. And on fourth down, then the pass got picked off. It was a great play by Will Hill. But Shanahan should have absolutely been furious. And I'm surprised that the refs, NFL really hasn't really addressed that as much. The controversy this week, though, was on Thanksgiving night, on a kickoff return by Jacoby Jones. Jacoby Jones would have absolutely scored in this play, no question in mind. He absolutely would have scored. They were not stopping. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. And Mike Tomlin pulled a ridiculous stunt where he was on the field, he got in Jacoby Jones' way, so Jones had to go inside of a lane and slowed him up, and therefore he was brought down. Now, I saw Tomlin smirking on the sideline. Everyone saw it. Like, you're the head coach of the team, Mike Tomlin. You're going to get caught. And I like Mike Tomlin a lot. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. And when his team isn't performing well, he owns up to it. He doesn't put it on just his team. He also pins it on himself. I've always been a fan of Mike Tomlin, but this stunt, are you kidding me? Seriously. Like, what'd you think was going to happen, Tomlin? I mean, how stupid can you be? I mean, this is just as bad as the Jets from a couple years ago when the Jets trainer formed a wall and they tripped a player in Miami. It was so obvious that happened, and I just can't believe. I'm just mind blown how stupid that he could be in that. And then he was fined $100,000 today, and this could cost the Steelers a draft pick. Now, granted, as dumb and stupid and messed up as I think it was, they shouldn't cost them a draft pick. Look, it's not like they're cheating on, they're spying on other teams or something like that, like what New England did. I mean, look, it was in the middle of a game. They did something dumb, and their head coach, who obviously orchestrated it, is paying $100,000 now. He lost $100,000. Fine him all you want. You could fine him $1,000,000. Wouldn't have bothered me as long as the guy got fined, because what he did was not just, as I've said already enough, dumb and stupid. It was also wrong, because if that eventually helps you win the game, how would that really make you feel, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers? How would that really make you feel now that you cheated and won? I mean, the NFL, it's full of competitors. Would you have really felt good about yourselves? Would you have really felt that was a good team win if that led to you winning somehow? That was a contributor in a victory? I think that question can sum it up right there. So, all in all, I get the point where I'm getting at. Breaking down that game anyway, I think, you could say karma caught up, because when they actually scored a touchdown that could have tied the game, Le'Veon Bell, they tied it anyway, but Le'Veon Bell's helmet came off on the touchdown, so they had a lot of things going against them, but then they did tie the game up, and they missed the 2-point conversion, so they deservingly lost that game, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm very happy about that, so, because that was just wrong and immature, all the bad things. So, anyway, moving on, though. Going into this week in the National Football League, not too great a slate of games when I look at the direct schedule right here. Nothing really that stands out as like a wow must-watch game, except for New Orleans and Carolina and San Francisco and Seattle. I mean, Dallas and Chicago, I guess is a decent game, but we'll break those down later because those are the primetime games. But really, the only two games to look forward to, I think, from a National Football League fan standpoint is San Francisco and Seattle. You always got to look forward to those. And Carolina and New Orleans. Who would have thought wow, like, let's look forward to Carolina going to New Orleans. Carolina's legit. Okay. I'll get right into it, though, to start the games. Breaking down Week 14 of the NFL season. Okay, the Thursday night showdown between the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars. The last time these two teams played, I believe it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. When I was doing the BS report with my co-host John Stanko, I said that Jacksonville was going to win, and he looked at me like I had 4 heads. John. Yeah, I know. And you know what? That game was in Houston. And Houston has lost 10 in a row. And this week I'm going to say it's going to be 11 in a row, because Jacksonville's going to win again. At the beginning of the show, of Kevin at 7 during the year, I would say I would probably never pick Jacksonville to win a game. I picked them to win actually twice, and they won twice. They've won both games I've picked them to win, and I'm going to pick them to win again, because Houston is a terrible football team right now. And when I actually watch Jacksonville, they're not as bad as their record actually shows. They really are in these games. They're just not. They don't have a quarterback. Maurice Jones-Drew is getting up there in age, and their offensive line is not good at all. They lost their second overall pick, Luke Joeckel. He's out for the season, so they don't have a good offensive line. The defense is somewhat solid, though. I will say that. They are in these games, Jacksonville. They really are. They were tight with Denver, and then Denver pulled away at the end because they have Peyton Manning. So, in this game, Jacksonville is just playing better football right now. The game is in Jacksonville, and that's never really an advantage because no one goes to the Jacksonville games, but the game is in Jacksonville. That no matter what, no matter how bad your fan support is, that's always an advantage if you're at home. So, Houston Texans right now would have the number 1 overall pick. Right now. Who really would have thought that at the beginning of the year? I mean, I picked them to win the division. So did a lot of other people. But it's just not working out this year for Houston. They got a lot of things going against them, from bad quarterback play, Brian Cushing out for the season, a lot of people getting hurt, to then the Garrett Kubiak incident against the Colts. They just don't have a lot of good things going for them right now. So in this game, start off Thursday night, I'm picking the Jacksonville Jaguars to get their 4th victory of the season, and the Houston Texans to lose their 11th straight. Okay, now the Indianapolis Colts now are traveling to Cincinnati. This is going to be a good football game, but without Reggie Wayne, the Colts have been a disaster on offense, it seems like. And I know this firsthand because you all know that I'm a big fantasy football player. I only have one team. I'm a one-team fantasy guy. If I'm in one league, that's my team. I can't really have 2 teams or 3 or 4 like my brother has. But Andrew Luck is my quarterback, and Andrew Luck was an amazing pick for me at the beginning of the year. I'm in a 16-team league, and that's a lot of teams, 16 teams. And I got Andrew Luck in the 3rd round. He is the 7th-ranked total quarterback, but if he had Reggie Wayne, he would be 4th or 5th right now. But Andrew Luck has suffered so badly, and I know this because he's not getting as many points as he normally did for me. This man has really suffered without Reggie Wayne. When Chuck Pagano first got the job in Indianapolis, he said to Reggie Wayne, in a pitch to re-sign him, "Hey Reggie, I can't do this without you." That Reggie Wayne said he was sold on leaving until he heard that from Chuck Pagano, and he came back to Indianapolis. So this team, though, that man is the anchor of the team. He's a leader, Reggie Wayne, and T.Y. Hilton's a good player. T.Y. Hilton's a really good player, but outside of T.Y. Hilton, they lost Dwayne Allen too for the year, and Trent Richardson has just been a complete dud pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, when this first happened, I was ripping the Cleveland Browns. It turns out the Cleveland Browns, they knew exactly what they were doing. Exactly what they were doing. So, kudos to Cleveland. That was they got a first round pick out of it, and they got rid of a guy who's been a dud now, and he stinks. So, they're going to Cincinnati, though, with the way Indianapolis has been playing, and against a team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl. I'm picking Cincinnati team. Andy Dalton has not looked too good recently, but I'm a big fan of Giovanni Bernard. He's also on my fantasy team. But Giovanni Bernard is in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and they have A.J. Green, and Cincinnati does have a very good defense. They do have an excellent defense, Cincinnati. So, without Reggie Wayne and this is the Cincinnati defense, which is very good, and at home, on the road, in Cincinnati, I'm picking the Bengals to defeat the Colts. Okay. In the Green Bay and Atlanta game, wow. I mean, you would have thought that at the beginning of the year, this was like, wow, Week 14, two teams last year that were division winners, and two teams that have been very good for the past few years, the Atlanta Falcons and the Green Bay Packers. Who would have thought that this would have been just such a energy drainer of a game? Seriously. Aaron Rodgers is not playing, and the Packers apparently announced also that if they lose this game, Aaron Rodgers will not come back for the rest of the season, so... I believe Matt Flynn is starting again for the Packers. I think he's the upgrade over Scott Tolzien. I'll tell you that, but with how bad Atlanta's been this year, the game is in Lambeau Field. I mean, I don't know who to pick in this game. Honestly, you know what? Because it seems to almost be very close, and they pulled this off 2 weeks ago. I really don't know who's going to win this game, honestly. I'm trying to pick, but, I think I might just say it's a tie. Seriously. I mean, both these teams are playing terrible football. I mean, granted, Atlanta is coming off a victory against Buffalo, but that game shouldn't really... The game was in Toronto, okay? If that game was in Ralph Wilson Stadium, there's no way the Falcons win that one. I know Buffalo and Toronto are close in proximity, but if that game's in Ralph Wilson Stadium, it's not even close who wins that game, I think. The game was in Toronto, and the Bills are trying to get out of their Toronto deal, and good for the Bills trying to get out of that deal. I mean, I want to say, hey, it's a tie, but we all know how rare a tie actually is in football. I know that there has been one this year, and coincidentally it was the Packers and Vikings. The Vikings almost got into another tie last week in Chicago. But, the game's at Lambeau Field. I think even though he didn't play good, he's been terrible since the 6-touchdown performance he had 2 years ago. But I think they're a better team offensively with Flynn under center than Scott Tolzien. With how bad Atlanta's been, game's at Lambeau Field. I'm going Green Bay. That's all I got to say about that. All right, moving on now to Cleveland and New England. Games in New England. Josh Gordon, oh my God, he's been my fantasy steal of the year. I'm sorry I keep bringing up my fantasy team. These games just have guys on my fantasy team. But Josh Gordon has been the only player in NFL history to have back-to-back 200-yard games. And you know what? I think he's going to have another monster game, Josh Gordon. But at the same time, this is the Cleveland Browns versus the New England Patriots in Foxborough, and I'm not really ever going to pick the Browns to beat New England over the Patriots in Foxborough because New England is just a better team. They really are. I don't know who. It seems like they change the quarterbacks every 2 weeks. Cleveland. They have Campbell who plays well, and they'll have Whedon who play well. Then they both stink it up 1 week, and then they go back to the other. I know Whedon is playing this week, but I don't think Whedon's a good quarterback at all in the NFL. I think maybe you take him as a backup on the team, but there's no way in heck he's a starting quarterback in the National Football League. So New England's just a much better football team than Cleveland. I expect Tom Brady and the Pats to have a field day. I think honestly with the Cleveland defense. So I'm picking New England and Foxborough absolutely over Cleveland. Okay, now the Oakland Raiders against the New York Jets. This is Oakland's second trip to MetLife Stadium this year, when they in a game they lost to my New York Giants. The Raiders have had 13 days off because they played in Dallas on Thanksgiving, and it was a good game actually. It was a good football game. I'll tell you. He definitely doesn't have a great arm strength. Matt McGloin has surprised me a lot. When I saw him at Penn State, I was like, there's no way this guy will ever play in the NFL because I thought the guy could not throw the ball more than 15 yards. But he's really impressed me, actually, with how he's just very poised and conservative for a rookie. I'm going to pick in this game. This is the Jets. The Jets have looked so bad the last 3 weeks. I mean, offensively, they're going with Geno Smith. They are too inept offensively. Really, I think to ever pick a win, but this game is at home in MetLife Stadium. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm picking the New York Jets. I mean, they at the same time, the Jets have beaten New Orleans this year. They have beaten New England at home. They've beaten good teams at home. So, I mean, I think this is the week, honestly, that, I mean, Matt McGloin's not a great quarterback, and the Jets do have an excellent run defense. They just have a fine defense, the New York Jets. And Oakland doesn't have a great offense, so I think this is going to be a bad football game to watch. I really do. Granted, Oakland is... The short weeks, you don't know who to advantage in short weeks of football. I know Oakland had played well against Dallas, but their short weeks, they do affect the home team, though. So, I'm going to pick the Jets in this game, though, because I think they have a far superior defense than Oakland, and maybe Geno Smith will run for 2 touchdowns, honestly. And they're not too great football teams. Oakland is playing better football right now, but you know the Jets are not a terrible team at home. They're really not, so that's why I'm picking the Jets. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Detroit Lions. This is actually an exciting game to watch. Detroit, excuse me. We just did Oakland. Detroit coming off a whooping of the Green Bay Packers at home on Thanksgiving. They won their first Thanksgiving game in like 6 years, I think. Something like that. Anywho, Philadelphia has looked spectacular under Nick Foles. Nick Foles, what a year he's had. 19 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Everyone was saying at the beginning that Michael Vick was a typical Chip Kelly quarterback. Boy, we were so wrong on that one. Nick Foles has played spectacular, and I look for him again at home. They're winning games at home now, which is a sign for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll say this right now, I think the Eagles are a lot more likable when they have a guy like Nick Foles as their quarterback compared to Donovan when they have Michael Vick. But I'm a Giants fan, so I will never like the Eagles. And we'll never ever like them winning, but I think they're going to win because Nick Foles has played excellent. And I think he's going to continue against a Detroit team that's always been weak defensively. And granted, they have Megatron on offense. This is going to be a shootout of a football game. I'll tell you right now. Absolute shootout. The Eagles still do... They have won a couple games at home recently, but they still are not a great home football team. They had a nice win against Arizona. That's a good football team. Detroit is a good football team too. But Philadelphia is hot right now. Nick Foles is red hot. And this would be a great football game to watch. I hope it's on some kind of TV. I'm not kidding. But I think this could be like a 45-42 game. Just Philadelphia's playing better football right now, I think. Philadelphia over Detroit. All right, the Miami Dolphins going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The Steelers obviously surrounded with a lot of controversy. The 2 teams in the NFL right now that are surrounded with a lot of controversy, the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The new controversy, Miami saying thanks Pittsburgh, and hopefully Miami will say thanks to Pittsburgh if they come out with a victory. But this Sunday... You know, when I actually watched Miami, the fact that it was only 6-0 at half against the Jets, I know they won 23-3. It was only 6-0 at half against the Jets, but considering how bad the Jets played, that was a miracle that it was only 6-0 at half. That speaks volumes that Miami's not too good. So, I'm a road at Pittsburgh. You can bet I'm absolutely picking the Steelers. I know they're surrounded with a lot of controversy with Tomlin right now, but at the same time, it's still at Pittsburgh at home against Miami. And I think Pittsburgh, I know they just had a tough loss against Baltimore, but they've played better football, I thought, than Miami has. Lately. Miami got off to a great start in the regular season. Then they lost about 4 in a row. Then they won 2 or 3, and then they lost, and they won last week against the Jets. I'm picking Pittsburgh, though, at home. I just think Miami really is not that good. So, Pittsburgh over Miami. All right, Buffalo and Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Bucks don't look now, but they've won 3 games in a row, and I think they're gonna make it 4. Absolutely, they're playing really well. Mike Glennon is my fantasy backup. Mike Glennon is if I were Tampa Bay, I would absolutely not draft a quarterback in the first round. Mike Glennon's played very, very well. He's led the team. So, they actually just lost last week. Actually, excuse me, they're 3-9. So excuse me on that one. I was incorrect. They did win three in a row, and then they lost last week. My apologies. I had the facts wrong. They've won 3 or 4 though, and I think they're gonna make it 4 or 5. To retract my statement. Buffalo they're coming off a bad, tough loss to Atlanta in Toronto. They're not a great road team, and Tampa Bay. They've always had talent. Tampa Bay, they have, but they just couldn't seem like they couldn't really put it together this year. So, I they seem like they're doing a better job putting it together. I still think Greg Shannon does not have a job next year. I think he should finish out this season because they have played well lately. The games that the home team right now, Tampa Bay over a struggling Buffalo Bills team. Okay, moving on now. Kansas City traveling to Washington. I'll tell you right now, Kansas City's lost 3 in a row, but 2 of the last they played Denver 2 of the past 3 weeks, and losing in Denver is no shame. And they played them tough, really. They played them tough both games, and then that was a tough loss they had to San Diego. Philip Rivers had a great drive. I'll tell you right now, our Robert Griffin III will not have the same game against the Chiefs that he had against the New York Giants because the Chiefs are a different animal. I absolutely am picking the Kansas City Chiefs to end their 3-game losing streak because the Washington Redskins have just been losing and losing and losing, it seems like. They don't have a lot going for them, and if I were their front office, I'd think twice about Mike Shanahan returning next year. I really would. Because what's going on with Griffin right now, I don't care if Griffin says he's ready to play. He had a decent game last week, yeah. This man should not be playing in the first place, though. I don't care if he says, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. You are the head coach, Mike Shanahan. You have all the authority to say, you know what, I don't think you're healthy enough. I think you right now, because this was very true, him right now hurts the team. Good character guy, but even players are getting sick and tired of it. It's hurting the team absolutely. He should not be playing. They should have been playing Kirk Cousins all along. He's not a great quarterback, Kirk Cousins. People could be saying, oh, they should have played Robert Griffin III. If Griffin did sit out, who knows? This man is not healthy at all, and he's not at his best at all. You have that authority, Mike Shanahan, to say you are on the bench. You should go to IR. They didn't do that, though, and they made a mistake. And that is a sole reason, because of the results on the field, too. That is he's had 3 bad years in Washington. He had the one miracle division run. There was 7 in a row last year that got them the division. But he's had 3 really bad years in Washington. And 3 or 4 bad years really, I think, should get you out of a job. I would really think twice about hiring him. I know he's got 2 Super Bowls and everything, but... And he's a good running backs coach. He always has been. Alfred Morris is a good running back. I'm a big fan of Alfred Morris. But other than that, the team has a lot of flaws right now. The Chiefs, Andy Reid has been resurgent for the Chiefs, obviously. Chiefs are just a better football team. Chiefs over Washington. All right, now to round out the 1 o'clock games, Minnesota going to Baltimore. Baltimore's played really well of late. They are currently the 6th seed in the AFC. And I'm picking the Ravens to continue. I think they're going to finally have a winning record, it seems like. They killed the Jets. Tough game against Pittsburgh. Those are always great games, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And I think that, seriously, it's going to be a good game because Minnesota... Actually, you know what? I take that back because I'm reading right now that Christian Ponder is out, and he will not play. Matt Castle will start. And I think Matt Castle, honestly, may be one of the worst quarterbacks I've seen play in years. So I think now this is going to be a blowout at home for Baltimore. Baltimore over Minnesota. Okay, now going to the 4 o'clock games. Tennessee and Denver. I'll tell you, Tennessee, they're not a terrible football team, but, Jake Locker was on fire until he got hurt in the game against the Jets. He was having a fantastic season, but that does happen in the NFL. They're not as good as Denver. The game is at Mile High Stadium. I don't know, who knows if they can play in the cold and stuff like that, and with that air, and I don't know if Tennessee can. Peyton Manning did almost go to the Titans, fun fact, but he didn't. He went to Denver. And Denver, they just put up so many points. Tennessee's got a solid defense, I know. Fantasy defense. But I'll tell you now, I really don't see Tennessee going into Denver and upsetting the Broncos. Broncos over Denver. Broncos over Tennessee, excuse me. All right, St. Louis going to Arizona. Now, like I said, Arizona's a surprising football team. They're 7-5 right now. Bruce Arians is a fantastic football coach. He established that last year, but he's backing it up again that he's a good coach this season in Arizona. No, with Carson Palmer as your quarterback, not a good running game. Bruce Arians is a heck of a football coach. But I think we're seeing an upset here again. My upset pick a couple of weeks ago was the St. Louis Rams over the Arizona Chicago Bears. Rams won. This is on the road in Arizona, but Arizona's not a hostile place to play. I'm picking St. Louis, though, to go in. They got a good running game with Zach Stacy and Benny Cunningham, and they got a really good defensive line. And Robert Quinn, when you get Robert Quinn and Chris Long to come at you with that pressure, good luck, Carson Palmer. Really, good luck, Carson Palmer. Because if they had a good quarterback played, I would have picked Arizona, but I'm not a fan of Carson Palmer. Good luck, Carson Palmer, with those two excellent pass rushers coming at you. St. Louis upsetting Arizona in the desert. Okay, normally I'd save my New York Giants for last, but the last 4 o'clock game would save as a better game than the Giants and Chargers. The game is in San Diego. Eli Manning, I expect to get booed, especially since he spurned the Chargers, you could say. But I'm picking... I gotta go San Diego in this one. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about this all week, but I think Phillip Rivers is having an excellent football year. The Giants are going to have a really big time, stopping the combination of Ryan Matthews and Danny Woodhead. They played great against the run, but Matthews is doing a lot better in the pass, and Danny Woodhead might be the best pass-catching running back in football. He might be. He's very good. They're coming off a big win. They beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. They're not a bad football team, and the game is in San Diego. I think Rivers has just had an excellent season. I think this is going to be a good football game. In the end, I think I see Carolina, Carolina's just on my screen. I see San Diego pulling it out against my Giants. So San Diego over my Giants. Okay, now to round out the 4 o'clock games, the San Francisco 49ers against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle absolutely dominated New Orleans Monday night at home. And I think they essentially have clinched home field for the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, as long as they're at home, the Seattle Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. And nothing will convince me otherwise, because they're going to be at home. And I think they will go to the Super Bowl. Unless, Russell Wilson gets hurt or something. Or that entire secondary gets hurt. But this game is in San Francisco. And I'll tell you right now, the San Francisco 49ers, as soon as Mario Manningham came back, that got so much better for Anquan Bolden. And now they have Michael Crabtree back too. This game, I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers to defeat the Seattle Seahawks in San Francisco. I absolutely think that this is going to happen. I think that as good as Seattle's defense is, Kaepernick will be able to run. And this game is not in Seattle. This game is in San Francisco. So Kaepernick will not be as rattled, I think, this game as he was in week 2, where he looked awful this year. But this game, he can move. He will see a heavy pass rush, obviously. But now the fact that he essentially has just had Bolden and Vernon Davis to throw to all season. But the fact that now he's got also Crabtree and Manningham. I miss Mario Manningham. I'm just throwing it out there. But he's got them both to compliment those guys. Good guys to throw to. San Francisco's got some weapons now. Watch out for them in the playoffs. I'm serious. Watch out for them. That being said, though, This week, I think they got some things going for them with the guys back now. San Francisco to upset Seattle, even though it's in San Francisco. Okay, the Sunday night game with Carolina and New Orleans. I've picked Carolina for so many upsets this year, and they have backed me up big time. I can't do this I can't pick them to beat New Orleans in New Orleans though. And that's the sole reason why. If this game was anywhere else, I think if it was on a neutral site, I would absolutely pick Carolina to win because I think they're just playing better football right now. This game is for first place. Both have the same record at 9-3. But in a game like this in the Superdome, Drew Brees is one of the best in games like this. One of the best. Cam Newton has not really been in a game like this one before. When Drew Brees is a Super Bowl MVP. I think that Brees will stand tall even though he's considered a short quarterback, and Newton's one of the tallest quarterbacks in the league. Not the tallest. But Brees will stand taller than Newton this Sunday night. Game's in New Orleans. Crowd's going to be wild. Newton has really not had experience with big games like these. So, I'm picking New Orleans over Carolina. All right, to round out the games, Monday night, Dallas going into Chicago. Tell you what, for Monday night, you know what? Chicago has played very well under Josh McCown. And people don't think Jay Cutler's going to be back next year. Jay Cutler's not playing, though. I still think they are a better team with Jay Cutler at quarterback. But that's just me. I'm picking the Cowboys to go into Chicago and win. Tony Romo's played outstanding this year. He really has. And with that, they got some things going for them. It seems like with the win over the Giants, but this is also a game that they're motivated to win. I know this is finally December. If they win this game, I'll tell you what, I do like the Dallas Cowboys, to win the division. I do. If they lose this game, though, Philadelphia's winning the division. This is a huge game for Dallas. I think they know that, but I'm picking Dallas to win over Chicago on Monday night. Just to round out my football games, as I said, Jacksonville over Houston. Cincinnati over Indianapolis, Green Bay over Atlanta, New England over Cleveland, the Jets over Oakland, Philadelphia defeating Detroit, Pittsburgh beating Miami, Tampa Bay beating Buffalo. I picked a lot of home teams this week, and then Kansas City, road team finally. Kansas City will go to Washington and win that one. And then I also like Baltimore to defeat Minnesota. Tennessee will fall to Denver. My Giants, I have losing to San Diego. St. Louis beating Arizona. San Francisco over Seattle. New Orleans over Carolina. And Dallas beating Chicago. All right, that does it for my football predictions. We'll be back with a quick talk about my New York Rangers and the big move they made today and their future going forward this season. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be right back after this.